When most players think about the Linde Gang's downfall, they point fingers at betrayal, greed, or Dutch's madness. But something deeper was happening in Red Dead Redemption 2. Something technological. The Pinkerton National Detective Agency wasn't just chasing outlaws with horses and six-shooters. They were using cutting-edge 19th century technology to destroy a way of life that was already dying. By the time Arthur Morgan and the gang were robbing banks and trains, the world had already moved on. Telegraph lines stretched across the country, and every town they passed through had connections to law enforcement hundreds of miles away. That's why no matter how far Dutch ran, from Valentine to St. Denis, even out to Guarma, the Pinkertons always found them. It wasn't just luck, it was communication, coordination, and surveillance. The birth of modern policing. Agent Milton and Agent Ross represent that new world perfectly. They talk about having information on every member of the gang, about knowing their aliases, their habits, even their movements. That's because the Pinkertons were using what was, at the time, revolutionary. Telegraph communications, railroad logs, wanted circulars distributed nationally, and cooperation between states. They weren't bounty hunters. They were the first data network. And that's what makes Red Dead Redemption 2 so tragic. Dutch keeps talking about freedom, escaping the system, living off the land, but he doesn't realize the system has evolved beyond bullets and badges. The law isn't just in the town anymore, it's in wires, paper trails, telegrams, and information. It's a force that can find you anywhere. That's why no matter how many times they move camps, they can't stay hidden for long. Arthur sees this before anyone else. In conversations with Dutch and Hosea, you can sense his growing understanding that they're not just fighting men, they're fighting time itself. The Pinkertons symbolize the industrialized future that's replacing the Old West. You can see it in St. Denis, too. Electricity lighting up the streets, phones ringing in offices, streetcars running on rails. The gang is surrounded by signs that their world has ended. They just refuse to believe it. By the end, when Agent Milton corners Arthur at the Beaver Hollow camp, the futility is complete. There's no running anymore because there's nowhere left untouched by progress. Even if they escape to Tahiti, the world they're trying to preserve doesn't exist. The Pinkertons' pursuit isn't just justice. It's inevitability. And that's the real brilliance of Red Dead Redemption 2. The game isn't just about outlaws versus lawmen. It's about analog men in a digital age, the first time technology made freedom impossible. Dutch thought he was fighting the government, but he was really fighting the future. And the future, as we see in the end, always wins.
You'll be ahead of the pack with one of these horses.